Mistake number 10. We value removing all pain. Now again, let me acknowledge there's no parent that wants any of their children to go through pain. But again, if we think long-term, not short-term, pain's a natural part of the growth process. To really mature well, physically, emotionally, spiritually, we're going to get some cuts and scrapes and bruises along the way. But alas, we have waged an all-out attack on all pains with meds and painkillers, and we find ways to medicate and alleviate almost all the pain in our life. But again, when we remove all pain, we actually remove the ability that they're growing to deal with hardship. Their muscles atrophy in that area. I really believe that resilience really is like a muscle. And it grows when it's worked out, and it atrophies when it's not worked out. And so I believe what we need to do in this particular case is we need to emulate the eagle. I'm not sure if you've ever studied the American eagle, but when an eagle has eaglets, the very first stage of the growth process is that mother eagle builds a very, very large nest, like 6 feet wide, and she'll even pull out the feathers from her own body to line that nest with softness. In other words, stage 1 is lots of nurture. But along the way, as those eaglets begin to grow, she removes her feathers from the lining of that. She makes it a little more prickly. She realizes they're going to stay forever if I don't. By the way, did you hear that? They're going to stay forever if I don't make this harder. By the next stage, she's actually flapping her wings in the nest, saying, I'm going to push you to the edge of this nest. You're going to get ready to fly. And then by the 4th stage, she's actually pushing them out of the nest, but then swooping under them to catch them as they learn. The point is, very naturally, a mother eagle realizes we nurture it first, but we got to create or at least allow a little pain along the way for them to really mature. And so it is with you and I. Mistake number 11, we do it for them. Now, if you're a good engaged parent, you probably have been guilty of this just like I have. I consistently meet parents in Starbucks who are sitting at a table drinking a latte but doing the homework of their children for them. Last year, there were 3 Easter egg hunts that were canceled in communities across the country because the parents were running and getting the eggs for their children and running over some of the younger children out there on the Easter egg hunts. I'm thinking, what is going on here? Well, I'll tell you what's going on here. It's very well-intentioned parents that are wanting to make sure their kids win in life, win in school. I'm just saying, if we're doing it for them, are they really learning anything except entitlement? Far too often our kids turn into young adults who are entitled because we did so much for them. So I want to show you a couple of columns. This is a graphic that might explain the challenge of this dilemma here. These 2 columns represent the scene that our kids are growing up in the world today. And off to the left, I've written the word scene, S-C-E-N-E, because I think it aptly describes 5 characteristics of the world that we in our culture have created. But then I'm going to show you the unintended consequences of this scene, and maybe you'll see why we need to correct this mistake. The letter S in scene reminds me their world is full of speed. Everything's speedy, high-speed internet access. But if I grow up in a world of speed, I can assume that slow is bad. I can't even navigate slow. The letter C in scene reminds me their world is full of convenience. But if I grew up in a world of convenience, I can assume that hard is bad. The number one thing that K-12 educators say they hear from kids today is, this is too hard. The letter E in scene reminds me their world is full of entertainment, and it's in their hands now. But if they grew up in a world of entertainment, boring is bad. The letter N in scene, certainly not all of them, but they grew up in a world of nurture. We coddle them and nurture them. But if they grew up in a world of nurture, then risk is bad. And then finally, the last letter E, they often grow up in a world of entitlement. And if they grew up in a world of entitlement, then labor is bad. And all I'm simply saying is those words off to the right, slow, hard, boring, risk, and labor, are the very elements that help us grow up. Before we look at mistake number 12, our final mistake, let's do a quick review of the 11 mistakes we've talked about so far as we parent our children. Mistake number 1, we won't let our kids fail. Mistake number 2, We project our lives on them. Mistake number 3, we prioritize being happy. Mistake number 4, we're inconsistent. Mistake number 5, we remove the consequences of bad choices. Mistake number 6, we lie about their potential and don't explore their true potential. Mistake number 7, we won't let them fight or struggle. Mistake number 8, we give them what they should earn. Mistake number 9, we praise the wrong things. Mistake number 10, we value removing all pain. And mistake number 11, we do it for them. All of this leads us to our final mistake, number 12. We prepare the path for the child instead of the child for the path. Now, I think almost every one of us have done this in our day today in the 21st century. We love our little kiddos so much that we want to pave the way. We want to make the road smoother and just make sure we remove all the obstacles so they can get what they deserve and get into Yale or Harvard or whatever it is the goal, whatever the goal is. But you and I both know as we make life smoother, well, what's going to happen when we're not there to make life smoother? I just spoke at a college commencement where one of the girls in the graduating class did not win honors, but her mother had made homemade tassels for her to wear because she said, "My daughter deserves the tassels." The daughter was embarrassed by this. I know a school district, a high school, that did away with a grade F. They said, "We don't want any of our kids to fail. We'll replace it with a U, unsatisfactory." Again, you and I both know you get into the adult world, there are failures, and we need to recover and bounce back from them. The point is, while this mistake is very well intentioned, it is very damaging. What we need to do is we need to prepare our children for the path, whatever path lies ahead, whatever struggle or disease or hardship comes, they are so ready because we got them ready. I bet you most of you have heard about the very famous Stanford University experiment that was done with children in the late 1950s. Young preschool-age children were given a marshmallow. And they were told by an adult, you can have this marshmallow now, or if you can wait 10 minutes and eat it later, you'll get 2 of them. So there was a reward for waiting. Well, the experiment was actually hilarious, and it's been reconstructed many different times, and you can find it on YouTube now. But the point is, many of those kids were unable to wait, and they just stuffed their mouth with a marshmallow. But some of the kids were able to wait, to delay their gratification. They had been prepared to wait. What you may not know is those same children were tracked down decades later as young adults. And do you know what was discovered? Those kids at 4 years old that were able to wait and delay gratification were turning out to be much better adults, much better workers, had much higher SAT scores, and did much better in school than their counterparts that couldn't wait. Somehow the adults that helped them wait and struggle and go through the pain of getting ready made them ready for the adult world. So the most fun phone call I got a few years ago came from my daughter. She was working in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and she just called me and said, "Dad, I just called to say thanks." I said, "Thanks for what?" She said, "Everything." I said, "What are you getting at?" And I finally pressed her to say, "I guess I'm thanking you for getting me ready. I look around me and I see all these other 20-somethings that have no clue what they're doing, and they want a spring break at work, and all these other things are happening. And she said, I just feel like you and Mom got me ready, and I just wanted to call and say thanks." That call made my year, and I hope that you get a call like that for yourself.